today's headlines. Innovation and digital transformation, Vietnam's path to prosperity. And later on, new electricity pricing structure proposed. Good evening. You're watching today's headlines, where we bring you the top stories of the day. The Politburo and Central Secretariat of the Communist Party of Vietnam held a national conference on Monday focused on advancing science, technology, innovation, and digital transformation. Party General Secretary Tô Lâm emphasized the need to swiftly implement proposed policies with adequate resources. He stressed that science, technology, innovation, and digital transformation must be treated as a central task by leaders, scientists, businesses, and the public. The public must also embrace this transformation through continuous learning, enhanced digital skills, and adaptation to the evolving landscape. Vietnam values its traditional friendship with Mongolia and aims to strengthen it, said State President Lương Cường during a meeting with Mongolia's chair of the Presidential Palace, Genderbased Zandan in Hanoi on Monday. He praised the signing of a cooperation agreement between the two offices as a key step in enhancing their partnership. The state president also encouraged continued support for the Vietnamese community in Mongolia, aiding their integration and fostering ties between the nations. Chair Zandan expressed hope for continued high-level exchanges to build political trust and also expand cooperation across all sectors. The Government Steering Committee convened in Hanoi for its 10th meeting, chaired by Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính, to review the progress of implementing Resolution 18 for streamlining government apparatus on Monday. The Prime Minister emphasized the need for restructuring while maintaining core functions and tasks, and called for a review of the inspection agency system for better efficiency. Following the reorganization, the 15th government for the 2021 to 2026 term will have 14 ministries and 3 ministerial-level agencies, a 22.7% reduction. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính met with Alexei Likhachev, CEO of the Russian State Atomic Energy Corporation Rosatom, on Monday. The Prime Minister highlighted Vietnam's plan to restart its nuclear power project for energy security and development, aiming for zero net emissions by 2050. He expressed hope for continued cooperation with Rosatom in developing nuclear energy and science for peaceful purposes. Likhachev confirmed Rosatom's readiness to assist in building nuclear plants, transferring technology, and advancing nuclear science in Vietnam. Now, in the next 5 years, more Vietnamese workers will be able to work in Finland, and this is thanks to today's Memorandum of Cooperation on migrating skills professionals, skilled workers, and seasonal laborers from Vietnam to Finland. The agreement is valid from 2025 to 2030. Vietnamese workers in the healthcare sector will need to know Finnish, and in contrast, those working in factories and the information technology sector must know English. Since the end of 2023, the Ministry of Labor, Invalids and Social Affairs has approved the registration of 3 Vietnamese enterprises with contracts to send 134 workers to Finland. Their salaries range from 1,500 to 2,000 euros per month. Now, according to Prime Minister's draft decision on retail electricity prices, the current 6-tier retail electricity pricing structure will be reduced to only 5. The lowest price will be 1,893 Vietnam dong or 7.5 US cents per kilowatt hour, Tier 1, and the highest will be 3,786 Vietnam dong or 15 US cents per kilowatt hour, Tier 5.
The proposed Tier 1 will be from 0 to 100 kilowatt hours, and Tier 5 will be over 700 kilowatt hours. The Ministry of Industry and Trade says the new 5-tier electricity structure will replace the outdated 6-tier one. Under the new structure, households consuming over 400 kilowatts-hour will face different electricity bills.
Households consuming 401 to 700 kilowatts-hour per month will see a lower bill despite higher rates, while those using 700 kilowatts-hour or more will face a 5% or more increase in their monthly bill.
Over 25% of households nationwide use less than 100 kilowatts-hour per month. Reducing the tier structure aims to simplify bill management and ensure fairness.
Coming up next, Ted arrives early in southwestern sea and islands. And Vietnam receives $5.5 million fund to address gender-based violence. Now moving on to other news, as the Lunar New Year approaches, Naval Region 5 Command ships deliver Tet gifts to remote islands, bringing the spirit of spring to officers, soldiers, and residents. Along with the gifts, the ships carry people's heartfelt gratitude for those safeguarding the sea and islands.
2 ships from Naval Region 5 arrived at the Southwest Islands with 220 gifts and over 200 delegates. The officers and soldiers, united in their mission to protect the fatherland's sea and airspace, were inspired by the mainland's warmth as Tet approached.
I can feel the Tet atmosphere. It feels like I'm at home.
For over 10 years, Naval Region 5 has organized these special deliveries, with more than 210 delegations and over 3,500 delegates visiting the Southwest Islands to deliver gifts and support officers, soldiers, and locals.
This meaningful activity supports and encourages the officers, soldiers, and residents living on the islands and at sea.
Despite hardships and longing for the mainland, the officers and soldiers stay resolute, finding true joy in protecting the fatherland's seas and islands.
Vietnam's government will receive an additional $5.5 million to address gender-based violence against women and girls, especially vulnerable groups. And this funding comes from the Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOISA, and it is provided with technical assistance from the United Nations Population Fund UNFPA in Vietnam. The funds will be used to implement 2 new projects. The first is to promote the expansion of the one-stop service centers, also known as the Sunshine Homes, in Quảng Ninh, Hà Tĩnh, and Khánh Hòa provinces. These homes provide essential and comprehensive services for women and girls affected by violence. These include safe housing, medical care, psychological counseling, and legal support. The second project will support emergency relief and recovery efforts for the Sunshine Homes in Quảng Ninh after Typhoon Yagi. And for the first time, the amended law on human trafficking prevention and control, passed by the National Assembly at the end of November last year, has added a provision that a person in the process of being identified as a victim is a person who shows signs of being harmed by human trafficking. Because identifying victims of human trafficking crimes is often long and complicated, and such specific regulations are introduced to enhance protection and also ensure the rights and needs of those suspected of being victims from an early stage.
An isolated area, carefully guarded. Every location has surveillance cameras. All personal documents are confiscated. That is the life of Vietnamese workers who are tricked into modern-day slavery in Cambodia. Any attempt to escape can cost them their lives. But the victims never give up hope.
I borrowed my friend's phone and secretly texted my family for help at night.
I secretly used my computer to reach Vietnamese groups in Cambodia on social media. Someone there said he would help me contact the embassy and the police.
According to the International Organization for Migration Vietnam, as soon as a person is identified as a potential victim of human trafficking, international cooperation to investigate and rescue the victims needs to be carried out urgently. This is also included in the amended law on human trafficking prevention and control passed by the National Assembly in late November 2024. The law stipulates that both victims and those who are being identified as victims will be supported and protected.
An important provision is that if the victim commits a violation of the law due to the direct influence of human trafficking, he will not be prosecuted. However, victims need to cooperate with the authorities.
Ensuring that the person is the process of verification as the victim. The government of Vietnam is in a better position to safeguard the vulnerable populations, including through improved investigation and identification of various and emerging forms of trafficking.
According to IOM Vietnam, raising public awareness remains the most important factor in combating these increasingly sophisticated crimes.
Vietnamese Airlines have added 522 domestic flights during the Lunar New Year 2025 holiday to meet rising travel demand. And most additional flights are from Ho Chi Minh City to central provinces, such as 26 flights to Buôn Mê Thuột, 37 to Quy Nhơn, and 32 to Thanh Hóa, and 34 to Chu Lai. Two-way flights from Ho Chi Minh City to other localities are also being filled very quickly. And now let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for today's headlines. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.